G'day guys, Adam Barnard here from Action Coach in Wollongong. I am the head business coach and director of the business down here. If you're having issues with consistently improving and increasing your sales, I wanted to share with you a few really quick and simple tips that I've helped implement in all of the clients' businesses that I work with and my business in general. These tips are very simple. You can commit to using them tomorrow, and if you do, I promise you there will be an increase in your conversions and sales. Step 1. We do so much work in getting leads and getting people interested in buying our product and services, whether it's building, whether it's professional service, whatever that may be. And what we see happening all the time is we do all the legwork, we prepare the quote, and then we email it to the client. Say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, thanks for your time. Here's the quote. Let me know if you've got any questions. Now, the problem with that is if we just email it to them, and so does your competitors, the client prints them out and they've got 3, as an example, quotes, and they're just comparing dollars. And then what happens is the cheapest price wins, which we're all having to deal with. The reason this is a problem is because there's no other value other than dollars in this situation. So what we need to do is we need to build up a connection and a relationship with the client. And the only way we can do that is by meeting the client in person. So the advice in step 1 in this video is to present in person every single one of your quotes and proposals. Now, before you say to me, yes, but I'm too busy, Adam, and I don't have the time to do that, you're so busy you don't have the time to be wasting leads either. You know, if it takes you 1 in 5 quotes to get a job, imagine what it would mean if it took you 1 in 2 and 1 in 3 quotes to get a job because you presented it. You'd be saving yourself time by not having to go and visit jobs and prepare quotes. So if your conversion rate increases because of this, which it will, that'll make a big impact not only to your dollars in the back pocket, but also in the time that you're spending to prepare them. So that's step 1. Always present your quotes. Commit to it, and I promise you it'll make a big difference. Step 2, and it blows my mind seeing this mistake. People struggle to follow up properly. There's 2 parts to this. One is they don't follow up enough. They present the quote or email it, and they call the client a few days later and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, hope you got the quote. Did you want to proceed, or do you have any questions? They said, oh, look, I'm not ready yet. I need to, they give you 4 or 5 other excuses. Call me back. And then what I see happen is we don't follow them up again. We get too busy. We get caught up with, doing our jobs and other things we've got to deal with and other clients that we don't follow up in a timely manner. And it's only until a month later we say, oh, we might give them a call, and it's too late. They've given the job to someone else. So you need to be following up regularly. When I say regularly, every single week until you get a no. Be persistent. And before you say, Adam, but I don't want to bother the client, I understand that. You need to get creative with your follow-up. So as an example, if I have a client who needs business coaching and they're still making a decision, and I know they're having issues with recruiting staff and keeping staff, I'll find a video that I'll send them and say, hey, here's a video which is all about finding good staff and how to retain them. Hope it helps. Or I'll email them a spreadsheet that we use to track KPIs and staff performance, and I'll say, here's a spreadsheet, hope it helps. Then on my phone call when I follow up, I'll say, hope did the spreadsheet find you well? Do you have any questions? So see, I'm adding value even though I'm following up. So what I want to get the client to do is I want them to tell me, no, Adam, I'm not interested, or I'm going with someone else, because then I can move on. But if we don't get it to that point, we could be losing the job simply because we're not following up enough. So that's the option number 2 that we need to implement. And finally, the third one, which could be most important. We need to define a sales process. Now, what happens is when you don't have much work, you're diligent, you're right on top of your sales, everything happens in a timely manner because that's where your focus is. But then what happens, you get a few jobs, you get a little bit busy, and then we get slack with following a process and staying on top of our leads. So what I see all the time is they get a lead, they take a week or 2 to get back to them, they take another week to prepare the quote, they take 2 weeks to follow up, and it's just not good enough. We can't expect to be growing a business with that type of action. So we need to define a sales process, have it in a visual on a whiteboard. I use a program called Pipedrive, and it gives you a clear picture of where all your leads are at, how long they've been sitting at certain stages, and then it's just quite simply reviewing it every week and making sure each of your leads moves to the next stage of the process. In my business, we have a 13-step sales process. Sounds crazy, but it's all about engaging the client, finding out everything about them, meeting them and asking the right questions, following up properly, and these are the things which make consistent sales, and consistent sales means a business is going to consistently grow. you can add new staff, and so forth and so forth. So they're the 3 tips, guys, that I can promise you, if you implement and stick with it, will make a huge impact into the sales and the revenue of your business. So to recap, present every quote. Stop emailing them. Worst case, send it to them and get on the phone and run through it with them as a worst case, but don't use that as an excuse to not present it. Secondly, always follow up and get creative with your follow-up. Stop bugging the client. Give them value even after you provide them with the quote. Thirdly, and most importantly, design a sales process. Have it as a visual so you can see it in front of you. Review it every week and make sure you're taking care of every single lead like you've got no work, and that's your sole focus. That's what it achieves. Hope this is lots of value, guys. Love to hear your comments and feedback. Reach out if you have any questions.